Magalhaes to Stokes, who's onside. 1-0.
Here's Sims. It's a good serve this from Southampton. They could finish the job here. It's Shane Long, and he has done it. Just a minute to play. That's stoppage time. Here's Letizia.
So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to an episode of the Saints FC podcast. It is me, John Bailey. You may remember my voice from previous episodes, although not that many into the recent ones. I have managed to extract a man from a pizza-making party, but you probably best know him as the Pirate of St Mary's. I've got William Porteous Blythe on the line. William, how the devil are you?
I'm smashing, as always, absolutely tip top. I mean, every Saints fan right now is on cloud 9, and I'm on cloud 10. I don't know what cloud 10 is, but I'm there, and I'm happy to be there.
And there's quite a fortunate thing here for the listeners, because we did start recording this and we had a 2-minute long chat about vegan cheese, and then you realised you hadn't pressed record at your end. So
it was subconscious,
yeah.
Subconscious sort of effort to rid the world of inane chat about vegan cheese that not only did I not participate in, but no one actually wants to hear or talk about. But apparently, I'm sure it's good. Vegan cheese is good, and it's available in all supermarkets.
Yeah. So the last time you recorded a podcast, it was you and Tom got together and you watched the Saints Derby FA Cup replay together and recorded that.
Yep.
And it's quite a different podcast, so listening back to it, it's a bit of an emotional roller coaster. And, you went from kind of like optimism to despair, which I think pretty much reflects the life of a typical Saints supporter.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. Yeah,
it's a great one to have a little listen back to. Very fun and quite tongue in cheek. And it's quite a dangerous thing, I think, recording with Tom in that sort of situation, because we did that with a Chelsea game, and then someone wrote into the podcast. They emailed saintsfcpodcast@gmail.com and told us that Tom Parker becomes like Donald Trump after a few beers. But did he manage to avoid the Trumpian
do you know
vibes?
Well, the thing is, I was in a bizarre way, we were commentating towards the end when it did start to get a little Trumpian, if that's a sort of word you can use nowadays. It was a live thing where I was sort of co-commentating, and Tom was just berating left, right and centre, whoever stepped up, he's going to miss. And to be fair, Redmond did miss, but obviously because he missed, then I suppose both of us tended to cast aside all his previous efforts of the entire, 60 minutes or whatever he was on the pitch for. But I mean, it's just one of those things, isn't it? Live, I've never done a live podcast recording of a penalty shootout before, so I think anybody out there should just go and listen to it for the sheer value of random fun, I suppose.
And just to stay on the Trump theme, I've just realised that the beer that I'm drinking right now is called Mr. President, and it's described as a Defiant double IPA. What does that mean? It means it's 9.2%. So
you're drinking a 9.2% beer.
I mean, it's Tuesday night. Why the hell not?
Well, can I shock you?
Yeah.
I'm drinking a white wine from Tesco that barely reached the £7 mark, and it's disgusting. But there you go.
I thought you were going to say it's delicious. I was like, great.
No, it's fine. I feel like I'm drinking gasoline, and I feel guilty for drinking it. But it's a Tuesday night.
Yeah.
God, I sound like Adrian Childs. Anyway,
Saints chat and wine recommendations. Right. So I think we'll skip over the FA Cup game, but let's go back to the Saints versus Leicester game. Now that was it was a real kind of like roller coaster of emotions, wasn't it? I mean, firstly, I don't know what you're expecting when you're going away to Leicester. Claude Puel has a fantastic record against Saints since he's left the club. I wasn't particularly expecting us to get anything from this. But then, we get a penalty, won by Shane Long, who was obviously getting the... whenever Shane Long is announced in the starting lineup, everyone kind of like groans on Twitter. There's this kind of collective hashtag SaintsFC groan, and all these people go, "Oh, he hasn't scored for ages," blah 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 blah. But I mean, Shane Long was fantastic in that game, and he won that penalty really, really well.
Yeah, and I think I pick up on your point there about the collective groan. Now, I think that is, in some cases, that is legitimate. We all know he works his arse off. I mean, it's pretty safe to say there is no other player within the Premier League that puts in a shift like Shane does, and that's great. And I've been on Twitter recently saying, look, I hope he gets a really good, if there is such a thing, high-profile move to a Championship side, because he has had a crappy run of form in front of goal, and this game aside, there's nothing to change my mind. But Leicester, it was unbelievable. It was like, here you go. Here's the baton, the trusty light of leading the line, and he absolutely took it. I've never seen. Look, having said that, 2 years ago Shane Long was unbelievable, and in a lineup that was more or less untouchable. And right now, you'd say, please just carry on doing what you're doing, because it doesn't, for me at any rate, it doesn't really seem like we. God, I'm about to say this. I don't think we need to make any transfers with Shane if he carries on doing what he's doing. But in terms of his goals, you were right, man. Like that penalty that he won, that's just, I mean, it's beautiful, isn't it? Because he bought it. That defender completely bought it, and Shane Long, total freaking professional. And then obviously the second that I'm going to say it's probably not going to go in unless Schmeichel puts his hand out.
I don't know. I think it had a bit of whip on it. I think it would have snuck in the inside post. I'm with the dubious goals panel here. I'm crediting that to Shane Long.
Okay, fair play, because we've all seen Shane do that in the past. Like his right foot, he's scored some absolute sensational goals. That one against Aston Villa, I believe, where we won 4-0 or 4-1. My God, that was a freaky, amazing goal. So look, he's been a shadow of himself, but welcome back, Shane. Welcome back.
And I think the Leicester performance just goes to demonstrate that maybe he won't be the first name on the team sheet when Obafemi and Long, and Ings and Austin are all fit. And you've got Gallagher coming in on the wings there, but Shane Long offers something different. And I always hark back to that wonderful Boxing Day when we beat Arsenal 4-0 with Ronald Koeman. And Shane Long isn't a different player from that. He keeps himself fit, he keeps himself athletic, and I think in the right situation he can be the kind of person that bullies defence, bullies defences and gets results. And whether that's winning a penalty, whether that's kind of creating havoc, whether that's tiring them out and creating opportunities for his strike partner, or as against Leicester, actually getting a goal himself and winning a penalty himself. I just think he's a really, really valuable squad player. He may not always be on the team sheet, but I think he's a useful person to have, for those times when you need Shane Long. And he made Mendy look like it is Mendy, isn't it? The Leicester City defender. He had a total nightmare. I mean, if you're going to look at the player ratings for that game, which I haven't, but perhaps I should have, seeing as I've brought it up. But Shane Long's going to be getting a 9 out of 10, and Mendy's going to be getting like a 3 out of 10.
Yeah, and I think you do have to credit where credit's due. The system that Hasenhüttl has. I suppose in a way it's sort of like a bit makeshift at times, and he's just making the best of a bad situation. But he's lucky because he's got players that have the remnants there, at least the remnants of a squad that have played under pressing systems, under systems like Koeman and not so much Pochettino, obviously. But I mean, it's there, and Shane he's got such quality. But for some reason, it just hasn't shown. And obviously, there's probably an entire podcast we could do on why Shane Long hasn't been doing what he's been doing in the past and where we are, why we are where we are. But for me, if if I'm honest, I want to say, Jesus Christ, this is terrible to say it, but I still think Shane needs to move on in the summer, because I think we need a killer there. I think we need someone who's just like Poulsen, Timo Werner down in Leipzig. We need a dynamic duo out of, and I think we can get that. And I think we could actually possibly make some money off Shane Long. Oh God, this is such a bad rabbit hole to go down. I feel like I'm going to basically incur the wrath of an awful lot of Saints fans, but I think we need to, be respectful, but also basically call it for what it is. He's a great player, but I don't think we could. I don't think there's much future for him, to be honest.
Really? I mean, I'm going to say I totally disagree, and I'm going to do in my defence of Shane Long. So, in defence of Shane Long, look at the last managers that we've had: Hughes, Pellegrino, Puel. None of them were playing kind of attacking, pressing football, the kind of football that Shane Long is going to shine under. And you look at Koeman's last season with Saints and how well Shane Long did in that. He got well over 10 goals in the Premier League that season. The second half of the season, he was great. My Liverpool supporting friend, obviously with all the jokes of kind of, which Southampton player we're going to get next. He had Shane Long kind of earmarked as the next person that Saints should sell to Liverpool, because he can see the value of that. And I definitely think, no way get rid of him this January. See what he can do in the last half of the season under Hasenhüttl before you write him off, because I think this manager, this system, this approach to football, I think Shane Long is going to be maybe not necessarily the perfect fit, because he hasn't shown that he's got the finishing prowess that he had in that last season again under Koeman, but I think he's got a job that he can do for us.
Yeah, I mean, I like this chat because I think I'm not deliberately trying to be controversial, and I think you raise a really interesting point there, because we've had three managers that have completely failed to sort of highlight his his qualities. And I'm of course, I'm willing to change my mind on this. I just feel at the moment, I don't know. We'll see what happens. Yeah. But yeah, gosh, God, I hate hating on players. I don't hate him. I love him to pieces. Jesus wept. It's just, I think over the past sort of 2.5 seasons, maybe a move for him where he is the star man at a lower division, where he really rattles them in. Maybe that'll work for him.
Maybe. I hope he's just got a part to play with Saints. I mean, going back to that Saints-Leicester game as well, I mean, Shane Long got that goal, after we'd already taken the lead with the James Ward-Prowse penalty, which was, very kind of firmly put away. Fantastic.
What a pen.
But also after Yam Bednarik picked up his second booking of the game. And it's funny, I mean, me and Tom, we have a little bit of a chat on WhatsApp, and Tom was saying that he reckoned that Yam Bednarik has had a sending off in him ever since his first appearance for Saints. And then,
really?
And then we saw that sending off. I think mainly it's just his youthful enthusiasm. He's got a bit of that, moody French kind of bubbling under the surface, that, je ne sais quoi, ain't gonna take no med from you kind of stuff.
That's beautiful.
And, I'm not going to get you to do your Hasenhüttl impression, but, I think...
Get to the chopper.
I do think Yam Bednarik's got a bit of a mean streak about him.
Okay, well, I've completely lost it, because I genuinely don't recognise this mean streak at all. So, please carry on. I mean, feel free to, but I mean, I don't mind a bit of spice, though. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think we can all sort of identify a bit of spice in the Premier League as a bit of a exciting thing. Remember when players used to get a bit heated up and excited?
Remember Franny Benali? Bloody hell.
Oh, I mean, that's a different league, though. That's more like an atomic bomb, some of his challenges. Legend.
Yeah, absolute legend. And I guess what's interesting is that Saints don't do particularly well with 2-0 leads. We saw that with the Derby game, both Derby games in the FA Cup. We've seen it countless times under the Mark Hughes era of us throwing away 2-goal leads. Yet somehow we managed to hang on. And although we've had two situations with Hasenhüttl where we have given away 2-goal leads, very recently, at least in this game, we didn't do that. And Did you see a certain amount of resolve in the Saints team that, okay, whilst they haven't totally got rid of the throwing away a 2-goal lead, they have shown that they can at least do it, and they did it against Leicester. And despite a total onslaught, I mean, if I read some of the stats, and this is across the whole 90 minutes, but in the second half it was even more heavily weighted towards Leicester. Leicester had 23 shots in that game. They had 72% possession. They completed 552 passes compared to our 227, with an 80% pass accuracy. And it was just, a total onslaught from them. Yeah. And somehow we managed to hold on, despite conceding the 58th minute, which, gave us a good, well over half an hour plus stoppage time to hold on.
Yeah. But I think what we have to remember here is that we are where we are, but certainly what we've inherited. Hasenhüttl's still having to fight the good fight. I mean, I don't give a crap about pass percentages and passes completed. We won, and at the moment, that for me is beautiful. And to be frank, we've just come out of the summer. Well, not just come out of the summer, but 5-6 months ago, we've come out of watching England hanging on in matches, or especially against Colombia, and it was wonderful and moving and so emotional. And I've got to say, I know we're doing Leicester, but Leicester as well. It was emotional having that back. That Jesus, we've taken it. We've really had to have our backs against the wall, and we've taken a right beating, but we've come out the other side, and that's what we want. That's a beautiful thing, and that belief that he's given us. I mean, I can't. This is going to sound terrible. I can't remember the midfield. I know we were minus Højbjerg, so I'm guessing it was Romeu and James Ward-Prowse in the middle. But there was just a completely different identity to some of those players. Get the ball, look up, pass forward. Get the ball, look up, forward. We all go as one. And when we went down to 10, it was different. But when the one thing about drawing 0-0 against Chelsea is it gave us this confidence to then see out half an hour as 10 men against Leicester at home, and it was wonderful. I mean, it was. God, it got bloody ridiculously nerve-wracking, as again it did against Everton. But I mean, bring it on, John. Bring it the hell on.
And so I think kind of in that, fighting off the Alamo, that kind of resolve that led to us winning the game and ultimately holding on. I mean, we could. I think Shane Long is a certain, nomination for man of the match in that game. But what about Yam Bednarik as well?
Well, he's phenomenal. I am blown away. I think actually it's really funny. I'm finding it hard to find the words, because some of the challenges that he made, the last ditch, beyond professional, they were angelic interceptions that make Italians, cry with joy. You're off the sofa, pounding your fists, clapping as hard as you possibly can, as if you just scored, a match-winning goal. This guy was nowhere, absolutely nowhere, and now and you've got Tom Parker of this very podcast saying, we've got internationals galore in this team. What's going on? And now we've got Bednarik, a World Cup international, and he's showing exactly why the freaking hell we bought him in the first place. It was absolutely majestic. I mean, honestly, I was talking about some top 6 teams. They're going to be looking at Bednarik, bloody hell, we'll probably end up selling to Liverpool in the summer if he carries on the way he is right now.
God, can you imagine Bednarik and Virgil van Dijk in the same defence? I mean,
Stop it. But yeah, no, I'm really excited about Bednarik. I think it's just another signing. I mean, honestly, it really does. James Ward-Prowse feels like a new signing to me. And Shane Long felt like a new signing. I know I've got sort of slight queries around him, but certainly, and yeah, Bednarik, unbelievable at the moment, and well done for highlighting that actually, mate, because I it's hard. There's so much positivity going around St Mary's at the moment. It's hard to sort of, it's easy to forget rather, how many wonderful individuals there are right now.
Yeah, and I guess, the thing with Bednarik is I just couldn't understand how he ended up on the sidelines at the start of this season because, okay, fair enough, when we signed him from Poznan Lech in Poland for a fee of about £5 million, which in the Premier League is pretty small fry. I would still like to have £5 million in my bank account. I'd love to know what that feels like. But
I'd love to know what you'd do with £5 million, to be honest.
I probably wouldn't buy a football player. I'd probably focus on getting a house, maybe. And then,
don't be so selfish. Why wouldn't you give it to Saints?
But towards the end of last season, he was looking great. The appearances he had were fantastic. He scored a goal. He was looking solid. Yeah, a little bit raw, but certainly, like a player that could definitely step up and become a really, really solid player. Buckets and buckets of potential.
Hell yeah.
Goes to the World Cup. By all accounts, has a fantastic World Cup. How many Saints players have gone to the World Cup and had a man of the match performance and scored a goal in a World Cup? I won't tell you the answer to that, but I'll just say not many.
Yoshi was amazing, and then,
Yeah, and it's funny to now be kind of thinking wow, actually Bednarik and Yoshi in the centre of defence together would, looks like a dream team. And
yeah.
Okay, so I understand with Saints we've still not got to the point where we can only trust having two centre backs, and we still have the three across the back. But it just made no sense that when Bednarik came back from that wonderful World Cup that he just wasn't getting in the side. And then should we deal with the transfer news that we've had this week at this point?
Because sure.
Because obviously Mark Hughes preferred Wesley Hoot, and then today Wesley Hoot has announced that he's moving to Celta Vigo with a loan and an option to buy at the end of the season. And he's stating that he's quite confused. He doesn't understand why he's been dropped and why he's been let go.
Yeah.
I don't know what Hasenhüttl's view is of the player, but it's clearly not good if he's getting rid of him so quickly, because again with Wesley Hoot, I thought there was a decent defender in there. He seemed to be very prone to mistakes, and perhaps he just can't deal with having someone who's prone to mistakes in the squad at this time.
Yeah, and I think that's the one what I can I think I can safely say that Hughes, obviously we're not fans of Mark Hughes, we're not fan of Puel, we're not fan of blah blah blah, all the managers, blah blah, but who definitely didn't work at Saints. I don't know what the hell it was. Obviously he kicked ass at Lazio, fantastic, but just didn't work at Saints. And sometimes it just doesn't work, and there's no hidden agenda. I don't think there's any malice, or spite, backroom sort of bitching or what have you. I just don't think it worked for Hoyt at all. And I think why? Because we saw it with our own bloody eyes. He made some howlers. He made too many howlers. And you look at Vestergaard. He was making some bloody howlers. That one against Cardiff. But then, I suppose that was. Was Hasenhüttl in charge for Cardiff? I don't think he really was, but he kind of was.
He'd been there for like a day or two, hadn't he, at that point?
But look, he's excelled now, and Hasenhüttl, man, Jesus, come on. You and I, everyone out there listening, we've got our trust in him. And if Hasenhüttl's looking at Hoot going, look, man, sorry, you're going to have to move on right now, then it's time. It's good, and it's good. We need to get rid of players, right?
Yeah, I guess we've got a bloated squad, and we do have a lot of central defenders. Obviously we've got Yoshi away at the Asian Cup,
doing really well in the Asian Cup as well.
And we'll have him back before long. So I suppose we've dealt with Wesley Hoot. I wish him well. I don't really get why everyone is totally slating him.
I don't get it either.
I don't think he ever did anything. Well, actually, I was going to say, I don't think he's ever done anything to upset people. But actually, he has blocked a lot of Saints fans on Twitter, which I've seen people kind of copied that. But let's all grow up. We're all adults here.
Well, some of us.
He wasn't. He never played badly for Saints on purpose. We're not talking Bruce Grobbelaar stuff here. And let's move on. Let's wish him well. I hope he does well. for
Yeah,
Celta Vigo.
good luck to the guy.
And
Fine. I mean, anybody who's played for Saints, for me, I always have fond memories of. Like, I don't really anybody that was a success or near success or whatever medium. You've played for the greatest club in the world. Good luck. Carry on. You know, we'll see you. You might come and play us against us in the future. One love, man. One love.
Yeah. And then if we're going to talk about some love for a couple of players that have left in this transfer window as well, Stephen Davis and Manolo Gabbiadini. Can I press you for your best memories of those two players, or would do a little
Stephen Davis, first goal when we came up against Man City. My heart palpitated. I mean, genuinely, I couldn't work out how we've just come up. You just scored against Man City. Stephen Davis, absolutely beautiful goal, and it was a beautiful thing. It gave us so much belief. You know, it was so much belief from then on. And it was ages before we won a match under Nigel, and then. I didn't care. I don't know about you, but I mean, it's going back a few years, but I knew we were going to get there. So Stephen Davis, that goal against Man City away for me, and Gabby, the goal against Swansea. Yeah. I mean, simple as that. It kept us up. I mean, freaking heck, you know. I mean, I'm not. I don't know. I mean, what system he would have worked in, whether we're stupid for getting rid of him. It wasn't, you know, we're talking about Shane Long and him not working under various managers, and now he's firing under Hasenhüttl. Maybe, you know, would have worked for Gabby, but Hasenhüttl doesn't think so. And I'm with him on that one. I don't think it would have worked. But yeah, that goal, obviously, we were all in the pub together in London Bridge when Gabby scored that. And I mean, my skeleton nearly left my skin. Do you know what I mean? I was just like... God almighty, we all just met a bunch of random Saints fans in that pub, and it was a magical night. So thanks to Gabby for that one.
So I'm going to give you my best Stephen Davis and best Gabby.
Yeah, and John, what are your favourite Stephen Davis moments?
Well, I'll go for different ones. Stephen Davis, my favourite Stephen Davis memory is the brace against Tottenham Hotspur at White Hart Lane, which was the last time they lost at White Hart Lane.
Well, there you go, mate.
And that's been a long time now. I mean, obviously, the fact they haven't played in White Hart Lane for a little while now has made that stat last longer. But I mean, that was just fantastic. That was in that great season under Koeman. Tottenham had, lost the title to Leicester, and then we just really stuck the knife in. And there's nothing quite like being an away fan, sat in the away end of a crowd like that, and just kind of reveling in the pain of all the Tottenham fans. And Stephen Davis totally led the charge, and getting 2 goals in that game. Absolutely fantastic. I'll remember that for the rest of my life. Loads and loads of fun.
You.
And
beautiful moments.
You've chosen the Gabby goal against Swansea, which, that's like the £150 million goal, isn't it? It's the one that kept us in the Premier League, and nobody can ever say that was a bad signing, because ultimately, what Gabby did for Saints is he scored in some really, really seminal Southampton moments, and if if in 30 years' time we're sat around in the pub going, oh, do you remember back in the day when we first started recording the podcast and blah, 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 blah. Manolo Gabbiadini is going to be one of the players that we mention. And
you're right, man. You're right.
That goal that kept us up against Swansea, but also his hat-trick in the League Cup final at Wembley, which was just wonderful.
Beautiful.
Stolen by the Lino.
Yeah.
The hat-trick.
It is beautiful.
And the cup. But...
I think
we all know who won that League Cup, and it was Manolo Gabbiadini and his hat trick, and that half time at Wembley with all the Saints fans on their feet, singing, for Gabbiadini. It was just that day was just fantastic, and such a shame that Zlatan reared his ugly head and the Lino messed it all up, but.
But no, I mean, it's interesting that we're talking about players going out, and we're honouring their memory, but their work. And if it wasn't for Gabby, then it's arguable that we wouldn't even be where we are now, because there's no way Hasenhüttl was coming to a Championship side. And
no, we'd probably be languishing in the middle of the Championship, going, God, we really should have got Bielsa in, shouldn't we?
Oh my God, fence wire cutters. Yeah,
Yeah.
let's get some of those involved. Oh man, you've got me all emotional thinking about these matches now. God, I'm casting my mind back to Thailand when I was watching that match on some really crappy reception. God, that was an amazing match. That was. God. Anyway.
So should we move on to Saints versus Everton?
Yeah, let's
do it.
Yes.
I mean, what were your expectations going into this game? Because I know, we spoke not too long ago, before Hasenhüttl was manager, and we were chatting about how, Saints score and you don't even celebrate anymore. You don't even get excited. Have you now reached the point where you can get excited about Saints scoring, Saints taking the lead?
Not yet. No.
You're still damaged goods.
I think you've got to be realistic about these things, John. I think, Jesus Christ, man. That James Ward-Prowse goal, of course, it was absolutely beautiful, sensational. To see James Ward-Prowse doing that, 24 years old, finally, it might be that he's just sprinkled the magic dust in the right place, Hasenhüttl, because he is a player transformed, I mean, he is also versatile, he can help out Valerie when he's being swamped, and then he can also be a dynamic heads up forward passing amazing part of the ball, and I just think where we are right now, who's next? Do you know what I mean? Like who's next to be transformed? For example, when Bertrand comes back. But no, it's exciting. It's exciting times, and that result, I'd say maybe I was thinking 2-0 Saints. I think I predicted it on another podcast. I was saying 2-0 Saints or 2-1 or no. I said 1-1. I will be honest here. So I think I said 1-1, which I mean, it's not too far from the truth. I think I mean, how did you see it going anyway?
Well, I mean, cautiously optimistic, I suppose. I mean, I feel like we tend to do quite well against Everton in Southampton and very, very badly against Everton at Goodison Park. I think last season, pretty much one of two home victories was against Everton. It's weird. I mean, history shouldn't really have much to play, but for some reason those things do. But I mean, just going back to James Ward-Prowse, when did he make his debut for the Saints? Was it when he was 16 years old, 17 years old?
Yeah, he was tiny.
He's 24 now, so let's say he was 16. That's 8 years we've seen James Ward-Prowse in and around the Saints first team squad. Loads of those appearances have been substitute appearances, but he's played a lot of games for Southampton Football Club, and in that goal that he scored, I think we saw something in James Ward-Prowse that we have not seen ever before. It was that guile, it was the fight. He won the second ball, he was all over it, he was positive, he ran towards the goal and he just lashed it home. I mean, does James Ward-Prowse even know that he had that in his locker? I mean, surely there was an element of him obviously that knew that, and something with, I'd love to know the conversation that Hasenhüttl and Jimmy Ward-Prowse have had, because over the past few weeks, because I've never seen James Ward-Prowse do that. I mean, that's probably an exaggeration. I probably have, but my memory's terrible. But in recent years, certainly not. And it's that conversation, whatever the hell that entailed, it is, God Almighty, it's working miracles right now. Yeah, it's just absolutely wonderful to hear. And Saints fans, do write in, let us know, have we seen that from James Ward-Prowse before? In nearly a decade of football of Southampton, James
What's the email address,
Ward-Prowsing.
John?
It's saintsfcpodcast@gmail.com. We're obviously also at Twitter at saintsfcpodcast. So do feel free to kind of get in contact that way as well.
Do it.
But so there we are, 1-0 up in the
Yes.
second half. Not too long afterwards, Nathan Redmond is marauding towards the goal. Nathan Redmond, another player transformed. And I don't think we can give all the credit to Hasenhüttl. It started clicking, as in he's now started to score goals. But Redmond has been the one shining light the whole way through this season. It's great to see him starting to get his reward. But this Lucas Digne own goal, well, I mean, fantastic, wasn't it? What a finish. Good distance. Is that the best own goal we've seen at St Mary's since John Arnarusa's goal for us in that game against Liverpool? God, nearly probably 15 years ago now.
Well, to be fair, like that, I genuinely thought that was just Nathan Redmond scoring a cheeky goal. I mean, it's the weirdest disguised own goal. But I love the I don't know, the mystery that some of these own goals conjure up. Is it not? Is it his? Is it? And it was wonderful. But he was in the right place at the right time, and just deserves. And I'll call out or mention Tom Parker again from this parish, because he predicted once once Nathan gets one, he'll get a whole basket, and I think he's on his way here. And Tom was bang on that prediction, because he's unstoppable, and his bloody energy is unbelievable. I mean, he played in the FA Cup and put in a hell of a shift, and then he's just coming out again a few days later, and oh my God, he is the difference. It's like you said, man. He is the shining light,
Sorry.
No, I was just going to say that's all on his own merit as well, because he was the one that went over to America and sorted his shit out, and there aren't enough players that do that, and he certainly did. So hats off. Yeah,
I mean, loads and loads of credit to Nathan Redmond, and a little bit of credit to Tom Parker for calling it that once he got his goal, he would start getting them. Despite that not officially being his goal, he obviously did incredibly well against Derby in the draw that we had against them. Despite that penalty miss, but
never mind.
He has been fantastic. For Saints once again. James Ward-Prowse, was he your man of the match for that game?
I think he has to be.
Yeah,
I think it's as simple as that. I think he has to be. I mean, and I think it's just the general warmth that James Ward-Prowse is giving us all right now. I mean, he's probably going to be the man of the match for the next one, just basically because of how much warmth he's generating in my heart. Why not? Freaking hell, it's just so wonderful to see midfielders receiving the ball, one touch, head up pass. It's mad to think that. And I mean, I know, and we've got Crystal Palace coming up, but I think I saw them pressing. Who did they lose against this weekend? It was like 4-3. I've forgotten now.
Some team from up north somewhere that wear red, I think.
One of those lot. Yeah. But for their first goal, they outpressed the press. It was absolutely amazing. It was against Liverpool, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was absolutely sensational. And for my money, there are two teams in the Premier League at the moment that are pressing better than anyone, and that's Southampton and Crystal Palace. But they don't seem to get not the rub of the green. They just haven't got I don't know what it is that Palace haven't got. But we are pressing like machines at the moment, and it's working. And my only fear is that people like Jimmy or Romeo, that they'll get found out. But do you know what? That's just me being negative. I just think at the moment, James Ward-Prowse, man of the match. James Ward-Prowse, man of the match for the next match and the next match.
There we go. I mean, obviously, I think we do have to deal with, we went 2-0 up. We held on again this time. So it's two Premier League games in a row that we've won, and two Premier League games in a row that we went 2-0 up. Not quite managed to see it out with the clean sheet.
No.
That is obviously because Sigurdsson was playing against us, and he loves to score against us.
Of course. Some generosity.
He wouldn't be denied. Thankfully, he only got that goal in the 91st minute. And you thought by that point, this is done and dusted. There's 4 minutes of added time.
Standard.
Okay, they've got time, maybe one more attack, maybe, 2 more attacks at push. Where the hell did that 8 minutes come from? I mean, seriously, what is the referee trying to do for my health? My heart cannot take this. Saints cannot defend a lead for 8 minutes of added time, especially when we've had 4 minutes up in here. I need to call out what was going on there.
Well, no one knows. I still don't. I don't know. genuinely, it got to the point where what you're saying there is we're 2-0 up. Oh, it's 2-1. When's the second? When's it going to be 2-2?
Yeah.
And it's almost like the ref sort of off the manual. He's like, before the match starts, he's been given the manual by the Saints.
He's gone rogue.
He just said, right, well, opposition, they generally come to Southampton. Southampton score 2 and then the opposition win. And if you don't, basically just keep playing the match until the opposition score, because that's what Saints do. But no, even with 8 minutes of injury time,
I mean, there was
we
that
still hung
case
out
a few years ago, and I can't remember which referee it was, but genuinely his watch stopped, and I think after about 12 minutes of added time, like someone just like, hang on a second, what? And then he realised what had happened. But I mean, it seemed like that. I mean, I guess the reason we've probably not had an explanation is because in the end it didn't affect the outcome of the game. But
it's bullshit. I mean, that's what it is. It's just plain and simple.
How many years, collectively, of all the Saints fans' lives have been reduced by having all of those extra minutes in that added time? I mean, my heart was definitely put through the I don't know what heart's put through, but anyway, it's put through whatever hearts are put through.
A colander of time,
yeah, something
being
like that.
Pushed through a colander of time. God, that's abstract. But no, I don't understand where some of these for me, what pisses me off is like an automatic 5 minutes of injury time, wherever the freaking hell the ref decides to get it from, or whoever. It's always 5 minutes, and why? Like, it's beyond me. And then 8 minutes. Oh, God almighty. But you know what? Screw it. Because it could have been half an hour. We would have held out, We're the Austrian army right now. We're going to do this shit. Don't worry about it, guys.
Yeah, and I suppose, let's look forward now. So we've got through that game. We've got Palace next. I mean, you're saying that you reckon they're one of the best pressing teams in the Premier League.
Well, they've really got something going at the moment. I mean, not at the moment. I think they're not going down. They're just such an interesting team. Seriously, anyone who's actually interested in, just watch back with detail, like the game against Liverpool on Match of the Day, whatever. Absolutely, their first goal is one of the best goals I've seen in the Premier League this season. It's what I said. They're outpressed the press in such a beautiful way. It was like, Jesus fucking Christ. If City score that, anyone else, it's goal of the month. It's a beautiful goal, and we have to be careful. We can't just go at it hammering tongs or whatever against Palace. I think a measured approach is in order here, because they know what it's not like they're super duper, know what they're doing. My God, it's Crystal Palace. It really is a case of just they could easily do us.
Yeah, I mean, Palace are an interesting side, aren't they? I mean,
you never know what you're going to get.
No, I mean, they can lose at home to Watford, and then they can also take Liverpool, who are leading the Premier League, pretty close. And I guess with Palace, they have quite a lot of players that are quite similar to Saints. They've got like Andros Townsend. I think Andros Townsend and Nathan Redmond. They're players that blow hot and cold. They have good form, they have bad form. They could potentially be England players when they're doing really well. They're nowhere near the England squad when they're doing badly. You've got like Zaha, who is a force of nature.
Yeah, he can be he can be a real force. Yeah,
but then things quite often just don't click for them. And for not necessarily for any sort of rhyme or reason. I mean, they have like Benteke, just a scoring record, which just is unfathomable for the man who we've seen in the past be one of the best strikers in the Premier League. And so they are an odd side. I think we're level pegging with them in the table, aren't we now at the moment?
I mean, it's all down to goal difference really at the moment, but I think, to be fair, I'm not really fussed. Like I think it's just the same old. The problem is we're playing so many teams now and we're beating. Jeez, I can't believe I'm about to say this. We're beating so many teams now in and around us that I'm gonna just be confident about this. I'm just gonna say we're gonna do it because I believe that we will. I believe if we can turn around Shane Long's fortunes and we can turn around Ward-Prowse's fortunes, then I think we've got enough going for us. And I think it's time to start believing that we're going to... I think we're not quite out of it yet. Obviously, we're not quite out of it yet. But I think it's time to start looking up.
Yeah.
And this is a perfect opportunity to put that into action. Not just a perfect opportunity for us to win the game. I'm not talking about points here. I'm talking about as supporters for us to start being, this is opportunistic. This is our chance to go, right, we're going to beat them. We are going to get 3 points against Crystal Palace. Job done. And I think that's fine. I think we can start affording that sort of level of optimism. How do you feel, John?
I mean, I don't know if I'm necessarily like that. I'm feeling optimistic. I don't see us getting relegated this season with Hasenhüttl in charge. I just cannot see it. And if you take the 4 victories that he's had in his 8 games as Southampton manager, one of those is against Arsenal. They are 5th in the division. One of those is against Leicester. They're 9th in the division. Everton are 11th. And Everton, before we beat them, they were in the pretty much in the top half of the table. So that's 3 teams in the top half of the table that we've now dispatched under Hasenhüttl. Obviously, we lost to Cardiff, but whether you can say that had anything to him or not, I don't think so. I mean, we got that great draw against Chelsea. And there's been a couple of iffy results in there as well, which is obviously, that's going to happen with teething problems. But Crystal Palace are certainly in the bracket of teams that we can beat. And,
absolutely, yeah.
If we get another 3 points, we're starting to move ourselves out of the clubs that are immediately being talked about in relegation trouble, and we start getting ourselves more towards, that kind of mid-table section from Watford down to Bournemouth.
If we beat Crystal Palace, then Hasenhüttl's getting manager of the month.
Yeah.
And
apart from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, who's won every game.
Okay, yeah, fair play. But I mean, he's got how many fucking millionaire crazy motherfuckers on his... Sorry, really bad, terrible language. I'll probably start that again. If you don't want me to swear that badly, God, turn into proper sweary pirate Porteous there.
I mean, you have dropped a few swear bombs. I think I'm marking this one out as explicit on iTunes.
Yeah, oh God, I'm sorry, everybody. I think, Hasenhüttl, if he beats Palace, then for me, he's getting manager of the month for obvious reasons. And obviously he's gonna get even more love from us because he's beaten a team directly next to us. These are neighbours that we need to be defeating, and I'm not. I suppose what I'm going to say is, do I care how we win? No, not really. I don't care if we, if it's an edgy 1-0 or an edgy 2-1 again. I don't care. It's 3 points. Let's start thinking about performance and beautiful passing and moving everything next season.
Yeah, and I mean, I know you're saying you don't really care necessarily on this result, but if we look at our next 3 fixtures in the Premier League, we've got Palace, who are on the same amount of points as us. We've got Burnley, who I think are maybe 1 point below us in the table. Yep. And then we've got Cardiff, who I think if we dispatch them, then they're in deep doggy. That's it for them. We're almost getting to the point where I think you could see Palace, Burnley, Southampton, Newcastle start to pull away from the bottom 3. But I mean, you look at those 3 fixtures, and each one on its own is a game that we could potentially win. I mean, what would you be happy with out of those 3 fixtures? How many points are you looking for Saints to get, or how many points are you expecting us to get? Palace at home, Burnley away, Cardiff at home.
I think I'll be happy with 6 points. Yeah. I think, I don't know. God, geez, Louise. I think maybe 5 even. I would. I mean, genuinely, we're being completely, I don't know, we're missing the point if we ignore the fact that these are Premier League teams, and they've all got a little bit of class in there. It's easy. I know, obviously, we've definitely got that confidence back, and fantastic. But we need to be realistic here. Cardiff can still hold out. holdout. God, they could beat us. Who knows? There, we're not. Problems haven't been completely fixed, but I can realistically see 5 points, and anything above that would be an absolute dream. And I think 5, even 4 would still be. I mean, that does draw us back because they're all so bloody close around us. So it's still crikey, it's still squeaky bum time if we do slip up. But I think 5 points, as minimum, that would be exciting, and anything above that would be glorious. Seriously, glorious.
Okay, great. So that's all of those fixtures covered off. Should we deal with some listener correspondence now?
Yeah, you do it. I've probably got about 5 minutes before I get into serious trouble because, listeners, what time is it again, John?
It is now 11 p.m.
Okay, yeah.
I'll tell you what. Let's skip the listener correspondence for this time.
Oh no! Let's do it quickly. Let's have one. Let's have one from a lovely listener.
Well, I mean, I had quite an unusual email from Matt Hill, and he's just made up some Saints-based transfer rumours. He used to work for a dodgy news outlet, and he said that they used to make up all of their transfer rumours all the time.
Brilliant!
So, big
Excellent.
shout out for Matt Hill, and I'm just going to read out some of these Saints transfers. We'll start with the outs. Wesley Hoot and Elect for 10 million. It's close. But no cigar, but Wesley Hoot is out. Sam Gallagher, he's now moved to Aston Villa for a fee of £10 million.
What? Sorry, how much?
10 million.
Sam Gallagher?
Yeah.
Sorry, is that a rumour or an actual thing?
No, these are made up transfer rumours that
okay.
just sent in.
I was listening.
He says he's gone to Liverpool for £12 million plus Daniel Sturridge. Now, that's an interesting transfer.
Oh, right. Well, obviously, always Daniel Sturridge now. You've got to remember that.
Fraser Forster has moved to Birmingham City for £4 million.
Okay.
And Sofiane Boufal has moved to Newcastle for £8 million, but with the deal being completed next summer. What do you make of Matt's transfers there? I think we could probably get more money for Sofiane Boufal, probably going to get less money for Sam Gallagher and Wesley, who's been farmed out on loan.
I think Fraser Forster, fine. Boufal's going to stay out on loan and he's going to come back and Hasenhüttl can have a look at him. God, Jesus, I've forgotten the other ones, mate. Gallagher, that's hysterical. I think that's absolutely brilliant. I mean, I think Tom and I, when we did the last podcast, we were looking at him, and God bless him. He looked shocking. I mean, obviously, he needs a little bit more bloody time than for me to lambast him. But 10 million's pretty good. But yeah, I tell you what though, it's exciting about the prospect of Boufal coming back and seeing what Hasenhüttl could do with him, because there's a player that, along with Carrillo, I always felt like we never really tapped into what Carrillo was about, and I think it's very short-sighted of us to just say, just didn't fit the system, and he's just too continental. That's we'll see. Could be. Sorry, go on.
Do you want to hear Matt Hill's ins?
Please.
Yeah. So we've got 2 players in from Fulham. Rue Fonte for £2 million and Ryan Sessegnon for £18 million, but as part of the deal, Matt Targett going the other way.
Ooh, makes no sense, but yep, fine, okay. I mean, Sessegnon, what? Because he was linked to us in the summer. Yeah. And that's probably about it, really.
Okay, I've got 2 more from Matt Hill, and then that's all his rumours. Ben Gibson, in from Burnley, for a fee of £19 million. New record signing.
Oh, bless. Yeah, sure, fuck it, why not? I mean, nowadays it's just the standard, isn't it? 19 million, between 15 and 20 million.
Your benchmark figure for a Premier League transfer now, isn't it?
Well, apparently so, especially if they're British. I mean, that's just the standard, isn't it, nowadays? I mean, you look at Elyounoussi, you wouldn't pay freaking hell, man, not 10 years ago, but a few years ago, you would have paid 3 or 4 million for him and laughed. Even then you would have been insulted. The fact that we paid freaking 16 odd million quid for him is oh my God, So yeah, but I mean,
And what about Chris Smalling in from Man United for $8 million? I think that's even maybe the most outlandish of the lot.
Oh, I know. I heard Gary Cahill as well, which was hysterical. That was brilliant. Oh my gosh, yeah, fantastic. Yeah, why not? I mean, get Beckham in. Heard Beckham might be available. I mean, let's start up a soccer franchise already. I mean, look, I don't think we're going to get anybody in. I wouldn't be that perturbed even if we didn't get anybody in. I'm fine with what Hasenhüttl's doing now. And frankly, if he can get what he's getting out of this lot now, imagine what he's going to get out of them at the summer break, and then a few extra little buys as well. It's exciting times, and the transfer window is a complete load of crap. You really want to go and spend like 20... What do we do with Carrillo? £20 million.
Yeah.
No thanks, not in January. You can stick your transfer window up your wazoo, thanks very much, and anybody that's getting carried away and dreaming about, German wonder kids coming in, forget it, just focus on what we've got now, and we will do business in the summer. And I strongly believe that we've got a cracking board, and we've got a really good set of transfers ahead of us, and maybe whoever's out there on Twitter can, I don't know, chip in and tell me I'm wrong.
Yeah, and speaking of Twitter, I mean, we haven't got time to go through all of your tweets, but big shout out to James Penton and Dan Fox and Edward Marsh, and Tony Robinson and St Mary's Pirate, whoever that is.
Scumbag.
All for tweeting at us. You can find us on Twitter at Saintsfcpodcast. You can find William Porteous Blythe at... What is it?
Oh, sorry. That was my cue, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It's
at pirate _ Go on, you do
ST.
it. ST, there we go.
Pirate _ ST, yes.
You can find us tweeting about Saints. But thank you very much for listening in to an optimistic, thank God, podcast,
Woo-hoo.
Saints FC podcast. I've been John Bailey. That has been the Pirate, William.
Yeah, and I've been a pirate. Yeah.
Thank you to your wife for letting us borrow you for an hour of your precious evening. Do get in touch, listeners. Saintsfcpodcast@gmail.com, at Saintsfcpodcast on Twitter. And, hopefully see you at St Mary soon.
Ciao, ciao.
Bye-bye.